We are good to go. Sorry, Tracy, we are good to go. Go ahead.
All right. I guess next slide so you can.
All right.
So, hi everybody. Thanks for having me. It's great to be here. I'm Tracy Steele. I am the Senior Program Manager with the Military Spouse Fellowships at Hiring Our Heroes, which is with the U.S. Chamber of Commerce Foundation. I have been in workforce development for about 7 years now, and I hold a certification in professional resume writing. And hopefully, in a couple weeks, I'll have a certification in human resources to add to that. But I didn't start that career back 25 years ago when I was first professional. So I'm also a military spouse. I was a registered nurse, had a hard time holding on to that career through 9 different moves and living overseas. So I actually learned how to leverage volunteer work in order to get on the job training and make a complete career pivot to where I am today. I, of course, had to add on some upskilling along with that. So I love speaking to volunteers and hopefully inspiring you to be looking at your volunteer roles as to where that could lead you to somewhere, or in the future, what volunteer roles could you take on that's going to help you on your career path. So I'd love to talk about some of the roles that you may have or be able to have at United Through Reading. So next slide. So looking at your website, I believe these are some of the roles that you can take place and take advantage of at United Through Reading. So I think a couple of the pretty common roles that you might be doing are events. I think story bank recorder, maybe you're doing social media, but all those titles up top are ones that you could be taking on. And then in the box are potential opportunities that could lead you to. So if you're doing different things with events, you're probably going in and doing a lot of community outreach. You're meeting a lot of people, VIPs in the community. You're doing public speaking. You're promoting, United Through Reading. So you're getting a lot of really, really good skills, hands-on skills in these volunteer roles. So these are just kind of some ideas on where you could go. Even the story bank recorder. You could be a podcaster. You could be a voice actor. So those are all things that you could be putting on your resume that are going to lead you in that direction. So let's show you what it might look like on a resume. This next slide, I'm going to go through a couple positions. So say you are in the events. So some of the duties you might have in the position as being a volunteer is you're representing, United Through Reading at those different resource tables. And you are having all the different marketing materials in the books. You are briefing attendees. So that could be people on installations, that's your community. You are telling them all about United Through Reading and trying to generate interest. You're engaging with that local community. So what are some of your transferable skills? You're doing business development. You're making people aware of United Through Reading and you're bringing that business to them. You're doing public speaking and you're doing a lot of outreach. So I put together a couple of resume bullets that could be on your resume. Engage with 100 plus people at Family Day, generating program interest and recruiting 25 new volunteers. Presented overview of program to diverse community leaders at Fall Festival, resulting in 5 new leads for site hosts. So there's some real great impact that you made in the volunteer capacity that can be on your resume as professional experience. I think there's one more example, right? We can show. Yes, so this next one, so say you're a site coordinator. You are implementing, promoting, and running the Story Bank station for United Through Reading. You potentially are raising awareness of that program and develop the plan with command leadership. And you're recruiting and managing the volunteers. So some of your transferable skills, you're managing a program. You're doing that community outreach. And you're essentially doing talent acquisitions. All that volunteer recruitment, that is talent acquisitions. I have that on my resume. That's helped me to get me where I am now today. So some of your resume bullets could be raised program awareness of a 501c3 nonprofit through social media and community engagement, increasing participation by 30%. Recruited and trained 50 volunteers, recording and producing audiobooks, reaching 150 children. So again, through your volunteer work, you are making a huge impact on a nonprofit organization, and this is professional experience and belongs on your resume. Does anybody have any questions, thoughts? Is this inspiring? And I know Melanie and Chrystal are also military spouses who have used volunteer service to get to where they are now, working with United Through Reading. So maybe you guys even have things to chime in.
I will chime in. I am a new fellow with United Through Reading. I got introduced to hiring our heroes by attending a job fair back in August, I think, and heard about the fellowship, heard about Amplify, signed up for Amplify, which was our 2 day um, resource. It was online. I wish that it was in person, so I'm really hoping one comes to San Diego soon so I can be there in person. But the things that I took away from the Amplify was they help you hone in on your elevator pitch, taking the time to let you practice within the groups, and giving you kind of feedback right there, which is great. Also, one of the big things I never thought of before of my 47 years of being around was a master resume. So taking your resume and putting everything that you've ever done with all of your volunteer opportunities that you've maybe have done and putting everything on one. And then you take that and hone your resume for the job that you are trying to get. So it just has everything in one location. You don't have to try to remember everything. That was one of the things that I really took from that and meeting other spouses. So other spouses are in the same kind of job hunt that you might be. And so it's great to network with them and learn what opportunities might be out there that you hadn't heard of before. Anything else?
No, and I think that's great. It's actually kind of a lead in to talk about some of the resources that Hiring Our Heroes offers. But I know calling Chrystal out, only that I know that a lot of her volunteer service actually made her a perfect candidate to come to United Through Reading. So she did a lot of volunteer service serving the military community. Same thing that I did. I did a lot of volunteer service all through, with the military community and the local communities. And that's what made me really marketable for the positions that I was going for. So that's where I just want to make sure to inspire people that this is really valuable work that you're doing that can lead you in the direction you want to go. Tonya, I guess next slide, because I think that then we touch into some of the resources we have. So this is some of the stuff that we have specifically for military spouses. This is what this slide is. I know that we also have an audience potentially of service members. But so Amplify is what Chrystal spoke on. It's a 2 day workshop. We offer it in person and virtually. 2 day workshop that goes over that resume writing that she talked about, LinkedIn, gets you set up, optimizing your LinkedIn profile, working on your elevator pitch, networking, and it is all with military spouses. We also have a military spouse professional network. Right now, it is one large group that we bring everybody together in a virtual environment. So in there, you're able to network with other career-minded military spouses. You'll learn about different job opportunities, resources through there. And then the last resource that's on this slide is the SECO. So my SECO is the website. That is the DoD's resources. So the spouse education and career opportunities, they have career coaches and career advisors. They'll do resume review. They have a job board through the military spouse employer partners. So a lot of really great career support that you can get through the DoD. This is available to our spouses of active duty DoD service members, and then up to 365 days post separation date. I think next slide, I broke it into a little bit more on the Amplify. So again, we've already talked about it. The great thing is, and I guess maybe even go to the next slide because that shows kind of a breakdown of our agenda. But so this is kind of a sample agenda that you'll see. We bring in a lot of our employer partners. So you're learning some of these topics from our employer partners that are looking to hire spouses. I have had successful fellowships to hire come straight from Amplify. So you network with these companies, you have informational interviews with them afterwards, and then you potentially could be hired. So really, really great. It's one of our favorite workshops that we offer for military spouses. For our service members that might be on this call, we do have professional development opportunities that are through, if you go to our website at hiringourheroes.org. So there are about every other week, there is some professional development that you can take place in. Let's see, next slide. I think I am going to talk about, so this is another opportunity that we offer, Career Forward. This is our most inclusive program, and Melanie went through it. So it is open to our transitioning service members, veterans, military spouses, and also non-active duty military spouses. So you have the opportunity to earn one Google Coursera certificate. We offer professional development each week throughout the time as being a learner. Once you earn that certificate, you are eligible for fellowship support at the end of that as well. So I won't go into too much of it because I know Laura is going to touch on a whole bunch of really great learning that Blue Star Families is able to offer. But I just want to make sure you know that is available to everybody in the military community. And then I think next slide. So then this is the program that I work with and that Melanie and Chrystal were both went through. So the military spouse fellowships, we have different pathways for fellowships. So it's through the DoD now. We are facilitating the military spouse career accelerator pilot. So it is a 12-week paid fellowship for our military spouses. So, we're really trying to partner our spouses with employment opportunities, trying to battle that 21% unemployment rate for military spouses. The cool thing is it is at no cost to our host company. So we do tell them that we're saving them about 25% of a salary every year. So they get to onboard our military spouses, get them assimilated to the company, and hopefully intent to hire, and they're going to be there forever and find their career home. We launched that in the beginning of 2023. We've had already well over 1,000 military spouses that have had successful fellowships and direct hires since the launch of that program. And then I think the next slide goes into a little bit more. So this slide kind of shows, so we are maintaining about an 88% follow-on employment rate. So it means if you get a fellowship, we are converting to full-time employment at about 88%. The average salary has been hovering around $70,000. That's average. We hit all 50 states. So here in California, where I am, our salaries tend to be a little bit higher than if maybe you were in Mississippi. But so that's our average. The one common thing that you have to have is you have to be career ready. So you have to have that resume that Chrystal mentioned. You need to have that career focus that you're looking for and have some type of experience that shows that you are a good fit for the roles you're going for. So you don't have to have a degree for it, but you need to have some experience and it needs to make sense. And yeah, and then we look to pair you with companies for hands-on training. I think that's all I have for the slides, but I don't know if Chrystal or Melanie want to share just a little bit of your own stories about going through the programs and fellowships and how Hiring Our Heroes has helped.
Yeah. So for me, one of the things that I was trying to overcome was a resume gap. So we had COVID, obviously, and I purposely took a little bit of a break then to try to figure out what is it that I want to do. I was in marketing and it was like, do I want to stay in marketing? Do I want to do something else? So going to Amplify and becoming a fellow and going through the career accelerator or, taking the Coursera certificates, it kind of helped me, realize like I did want to stay in the field, but what did that look like? And it was wonderful for me to have the support for Hiring Our Heroes with the resume. So getting my resume together, trying to compensate for the resume gap, my taking that time off to try to figure out what I wanted to do. And then having the additional support of them pushing that resume out. It's, looking for a job is a job. It's a full-time thing and you have to be ready. So just knowing that they had my back there with sending the resume out to companies that I wouldn't have thought of. And I'll be honest, United Through Reading was one of them. I didn't know, hadn't thought about working in, the nonprofit space. So when this opportunity came up, it was a no-brainer. And, the 12 weeks was fantastic for my organization because, like you said, there's that salary benefit where, we're paid separately off of their books. And then we have that one day off where we can do professional development. So while you're trying to get your feet wet with this organization, you have a day to kind of like absorb everything that you've learned and, take it back to the group. And, you can workshop, you can talk through issues that you may be having. So the support that they provide is fantastic, especially if, like me, you had that gap in your careers and you're trying to figure out, how to move into either something new or stay in the same field, but potentially do something different. So I would highly recommend the programs. Like so we have a great success rate with Hiring Our Heroes here at United Through Reading.
I was just going to add to that. I think I am the 5th fellow at United Through Reading, 5th or 6th. I can't remember. But I moved to San Diego in June and was trying to get back into the work field here and trying to apply for every job I could. And when I went through the Amplify and got started with the candidacy for hiring our heroes, Tracy, I think they sent out my resume for 4 months, and I think it's normally 3, but we were over like the holiday season. So she graciously did one more thing, but then she was still sending me jobs on the side that she was thinking that would be a good fit. And United Through Reading was one of those. And if I could have picked a perfect job to land in my plate, that if I was like my dream job, this was it. And she just knew our skills and what worked, and she matched us together, and I couldn't ask for a better team and support from hiring our heroes and through the United Through Reading team. And I am in week 5 of my fellowship, so a few more weeks to go, and then hopefully full-time employment. So.
No, I do love that. And just to reiterate the one, so if we have any service members on here, there is a corporate fellowship program that you can do your DoD skill bridge through Hire Heroes, but that career forward program that we talked about, that Melanie was able to get that certificate, that is a program that you would be able to look at. So it's not, I don't want to be touching on just military spouses, because I know that we serve everybody in the military community here at United Through Reading. So happy to answer any questions on that, or we can save questions for the end. I'm not sure what your plans were, Tonya, on that one.
Yeah, I mean, if there are any immediate questions, happy to have them. If not, we can turn things over to Laura to talk about the Blue Star families, and then kind of come back together at the end and take all questions from anyone who might have them. Laura, I have your slides pulled up, and I am happy to, I went the wrong way, happy to share them. Just let me know when I should advance them, and I will do so.
Perfect. Thank you. Hello, everyone. I'm Laura Torres. Go ahead. Next. I'm here from Blue Star Careers, Blue Star, part of Blue Star Families. If you're not familiar with our program, our goal is to empower all military career community members from our organization. Our goal is to connect you with geographically and culturally relevant career programming resources. We have this really cool model that is all done digitally online to support all of our members. The way we deliver our programming is we listen through surveys, through impact, through polls, checks, to see what is it that is helping or what is not working with our members. Then we try to then line up and share resources that are applicable to what you're currently searching for. We try to partner with partners who actually meet some of those listening surveys, but also the resources that you are seeking. And then we add by creating activities, ensuring that we have a good visibility out in the community to support all of our members. Next. And even though you probably might hear me more, see me really loud out on LinkedIn or any other place, I do have a team of cheerleaders, as we like to call them, part-time members, operations behind the scenes, great supporters that help me. But so our Blue Star Careers team is always fast-moving and very well integrated to help behind the scenes. Next. So the way we have it currently, and we always pivot along with what, again, based on what are the needs of our members, needs of our military spouse community, our service members, because we are a nonprofit organization that supports all members. That includes strategic veterans, young adults, and also civilians nowadays, members, family members of our military connected active members as well. So we have broken it down into areas that, because not everybody's looking for a job, right? And then not everybody's looking to get and attend activities. So we have on social media a spouse first community group where it's just all Facebook, where you can come and interact and just peek. I call it window shopping. You can also, if you're not interested in a job or you just want to upskill and learn, we are growing our Blue Star Learning, that is in collaboration with a lot of established learning institutions, and just communities who offer free upskilling options. They tell us free, we bring it to you. We're also growing our Blue Star Employer database, where again, members from our community who are looking to hire military spouses, veterans, anyone out there, but also not only just put out there a good PR show, they're also willing to seek and support with referrals, but also intentional workshops that would support you in knowing a little bit more how those specific hiring needs for their company work. And then we have a really fast growing community of Blue Star Bilingual, where we have a little bit over 3,000 members now since we started 3 years ago, and where we support a lot of military spouses who have a bilingual skill. And all of that great work is done in the Blue Star Careers community in the neighborhood. And I'll tell you a little bit more about that. Next. So we are all across the U.S. We have over 13 active chapters. I think actually now we're 14. They just launched the new one in Lafayette, North Carolina this week. And so we're spread across. It's a nonprofit organization. We do have in person, and we have actually my job is all virtual nationwide. Next. And so we welcome all military spouses from all over the place. And so again, we try to meet you where you are. And this is where I'm going to take a little bit more time and just going to allow you to stare at that slide and talk a little bit more about what we are here intended, which is volunteering with a purpose. And I love to talk about this particular topic all the time because that's how I got here actually into Blue Star Families. I myself, and in the past, I would say 12 plus years, have been getting a lot of what I call my grown-up jobs by volunteering with a specific cause, a mission, or as I like to call it, volunteering with a purpose. So for me, particularly, my definition for volunteering is not just giving your time. I always tell people, don't give your time just for the sake of giving your time, especially if you are considering entering the workplace soon, in a couple of years, in 3 years, or at some point, we all need to pivot somewhere. And so you got to make sure that that time counts for intent. So when you volunteer with a purpose, to me, you got to make sure that you are picking up those particular jobs, activities, or organizations where your skills, your passion, your values really will drive you into that mission that really matters to you. So when I started looking to make it into the workforce development place, or just trying to pivot a little bit more into that. I was in sales, I was in recruiting. I love recruiting and just generating leads. That's my biggest passion. If you were to say, Laura, what's your pet peeve in work? Recruiting, generating leads, that's my biggest, that really sets me up for success. When somebody tells me we need 10,000, I'm like, I'm going to go get them. But because of that, I pretty much scouted right away when I was trying to make it into recruiting or switch my roles into a little bit more secure job. I started identifying the type of work that I wanted to do. So you need to pick that. Pick the type of work that you think you want to do when it comes to volunteering. And start looking out and enforcing or just writing down for you specific volunteer opportunities within United Through Reading that are good and aligned to you. Maybe next semester or next year, try something different, and so that you can diversify your area of skills. Now, one other thing that I like to always share with job seekers, individuals that I work with one-on-one, is when you come to translating all of this great experience, think about who is your customer, who would you like to continue to serve on the other side once you are an established employee, right? Because you got to think of you as a skill. You are a business. You are the business. Like Laura is a business. I'm a brand. My brand, it's me. So I have to go out and sell and showcase and brag about my skills, but I need to know what I'm doing and who I want to do it with while I'm doing and volunteering throughout my experiences. So I'm going to tell you one really cool story. And again, I mentioned earlier, that's how I got here to Blue Star Families. I volunteered for about a year or a little bit more with Camp Pendleton Education or Employment Office right before I actually became aware of this job for Blue Star Families as a career manager. I was doing a little bit of that mild volunteer career support in the local Camp Pendleton area with a local leader from the director of the program. I was also helping with events. I was also helping with some of those major hire or hero events when they would come in town. I would be helping out over there with setup, driving traffic to their tables, all that good stuff. So when this job came in open and I became aware of it, I already had established network. I already had what I call a book of business. And so when I volunteered and I was presented with that hideous question, why are you the best fit for this job? My answer was because I already have an established book of business. I don't need to go and knock on doors in Camp Pendleton. I already have them. And so I will be a great fit to get started right away. And so when you think about looking for your next opportunity as a volunteer that is going to lead you into the next paid opportunity, think about those specific messages. or that how you can translate your contributions that you're doing right now in real time, opportunities when you decide to seek that and translate it to work. Capture metrics. Every time Tonya celebrates you, celebrates the team, celebrates the region, the entire space or state, capture those metrics and think how you contributed to them and take ownership of them. Okay, take ownership of that, because no one is going to come back to recognize you if you don't recognize yourself. Another side hustle that I want to tell you, and where volunteer with a purpose actually works really good, is I volunteered for the Veteran Chamber of Commerce in 2019. I started volunteering with them. Then I started pitching to him and said, hey, we should do a live show. We should do something to introduce the local veteran-owned businesses. So we started just discussing that. Before we knew it, in less than a month, we had the Veterans Radio Show, and I was volunteered to run it and to be the guest. If you come and go back and watch some of those early live shows, you'll be like, ugh, Laura, what's going on there? But that built my virtual print, my virtual muscle. It really challenged me, my comfort level. So when COVID came, and here through my real job, I was exposed or asked or required without any intent to just do live segments and to start creating webinars. I had already practiced through the Veteran Chamber for almost 2 years. Lastly, my last example is this past fall. I scouted a job that I've been been wanting for a very long time. It's a side hustle. And I was just very in love with it because I've always wanted, have already been thinking about my next transition, my next job. For the next, few years as a retiree, spouse of a retired Marine Corps veteran. And so I scouted a job in a local Blue Mountain Community College here in my area. And I've always wanted to work for a community college, but getting your foot in the door is the thing. So I applied for this job, but in order for me to meet those requirements, I have already been volunteering through the Rosie Network as an entrepreneurship cohort facilitator for the past 3 years. So when I saw those requirements, I'm like, this is mine. I raised my hand and I applied and I got it because I knew how to sell my skills, because I've been capturing metrics. I've been volunteering with a purpose, with very mild intent, but it's still in an intent that I know exactly how to transition into the next career so that you can make it, but also make it with very intentional purposes. Next. So I'm done with my stories. If you have any questions, please let me know. That is really what really drives me to support and coach our members, is how to make that next pivot transition when you really want to involve. And so as members in Blue Star families, we, as I mentioned, we really give you the drive seat to you to select how you want to get involved. You can just window shop at a Sparksters community where you get the preview resources, opportunities that we share. We allow you to, to just engage there with all of our activities. But then if once you decide you want to give us a try, you can establish a membership by joining our Blue Star Careers community in the neighborhood, which is a platform. It's another version of another LinkedIn, another fancy Facebook, but it's owned by Blue Star families, and we curate and vet all the resources that are in there, all the resources that we are sharing, that we are creating slowly. They're all being part of our partnerships, but also established members who really, really mean to help our members, help our military community, and they really want to go the extra mile. So once you are an established member, really you just get direct support, attend events, get introductions to all kinds of activities. You get to just simply also help other partners, other members. And that's really, it's just very simple. You just go to the neighborhood, hang out, and then window shop as you need to. Next. So again, this is what the neighborhood really looks like. Obviously, they're not all just guys in there. There's all members. There has a little bit over in our careers group. Actually, we have a little bit. We just surpassed 11,000 members there since a year since we transitioned to this new platform. The whole neighborhood itself is divided into multiple communities of active duty veterans. The chapters are all in there. They all have its own chapter. They have a gaming community. They have cooking group, all kinds of things. So it's a really good activity for you to really get involved, foster all the relationships, but continue to grow and network with mind-like individuals that are in the military. Next. So that's it. If you just want to get a hold of me, you want to connect with me, that's how you can get a hold of me. I am, my job title changed, and I forgot to share this with Tonya, but I am director now, director of Workforce Innovation Programming here for Blue Star Families. I've been with our organization for a little bit over 8 years. So when I got here, I just haven't left, but because I got here as a volunteering with a purpose somewhere else, and so workforce development was really what I wanted to go, and I'm glad that I was able to get here. But I know that at some point this role will eventually expire because of my maturity and my season life, and so I have already been scouting and planning my next move through volunteerism, but also through direct engagement and networking with other professionals in my local area. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Laura. So we are going to open up the floor, and I'm going to stop sharing my screen so that I can see everybody again, but we're going to open up the floor for questions, for more of a conversation, because I think it's important that, one of the things that we really touch on is that our volunteers, they make a difference, right? There's a lot of opportunities, there's things you can get engaged in. And one of the questions I know, and I'm speaking for Samantha here, so I'm going to put her on the spot too, but one of the questions that we ask when we're looking to bring new staff on is, tell me about your involvement in the military community. What have you been volunteering with? What have you done? And so I think when we talk about how to take all of that volunteer experience where some people feel, well, I just did this, get rid of the just, because you did something and it had an impact, and knowing that it can be added to a resume and really have an impact on a job search. So Samantha, if you want to come off mute and speak to that, or, Tracy and Laura, if you have experience where, you've talked to other folks who are looking to build their resume and really highlighting that it does matter.
Yeah, I absolutely echo everything Tonya just said. I am a big proponent of getting the word just out of your vocabulary, especially when you are talking about your own accomplishments. Volunteering shows an impact that you're having in your community, and it's even more impactful because it's not your day job. So don't undervalue the work that you are doing. Tout it, talk about it, put it up there on your resume, because that's the kind of things organizations like United Through Reading want to know about. That's the experience we're looking for.
I'll add in too. I just recently onboarded a new candidate in the fellowship program who, when I met her and she interviewed with me, she was just a volunteer. She kept saying I'm a family readiness coordinator. I just volunteer. I run this social media, and Instagram page, but it's all just volunteer. And so as I was getting more information from her though, she was reaching a huge community. Like, she has a lot of, followers. She's doing huge resource referral. She's got a lot of interest and knowledge in certain areas that not everybody has. So other commanders are sending people to her because she knows about a lot of different resources. So I challenged her to work on her resume. And we met yesterday with her new resume. Oh my gosh, it blew me away. And it blew her away. Now she realizes really how professional she is and what she's able to do, because she's got impact statements for all the stuff that she's done. She found the data and the metrics and the community that she's really reaching. It was really impressive. And I only share that. That was kind of what inspired me to know that I could be doing something other than nursing. It was once I finally sat down and learned how to write my resume with all the impact I'd made in all my volunteer roles. I mean, similar to, what Laura was sharing about how she got to where she is. It was once I put it in writing and put the metrics, the people I was making, the money I was raising, or all these different things, I realized, oh my God, I can do these jobs. And then it inspired me to, like Laura was saying, pick the right roles that were going to put me in that line. So I volunteer. I've been serving on Chamber of Commerce committees prior to me getting to the Hiring Our Heroes. I knew that was a stepping stone I needed to get. And so you can establish that network, and people know you develop that professional equity in that space that you're wanting to be in. And that was all done through volunteer work. So all the work you guys are doing with United Through Reading is really impactful, and for the community, for United Through Reading, and for your career. So don't think you're not just a volunteer.
Absolutely. And if I may add, and also just as Tracy was mentioning, document that, write it, of course, on your resume, have it ready on a regular basis. Don't wait until you're looking to find another job, because you never know. What if United to Reading has a great opportunity here, or maybe the chamber, or maybe Blue Star Families out there, and you know someone who knows someone, and you said, that is the job I want. You have to have it ready. Don't wait until you think you might be ready. Have it ready all the time. But not only that, I'm a bragger. I love to document my career journey on LinkedIn, because that's where recruiters, that's where other staff, that's where I know my peers go to look and check me out. So that's the professional network where you need to be also documenting your journey and sharing successful stories that you contributed to United Reading. Maybe do a little bit of shout out to the program, shout out to the event that you attended, shout out to something, share pictures of yourself if you cannot, don't have authorization to share other ones. Or if you do go to an event, ask people, can I, like today I went to a chamber event across the other side of my county, and I took a couple of pictures with people that I had no idea, but I was so grateful to meet them. They're going to be part of my local contributions, but also book of business that I'm trying to expand. And I asked him, can I share a picture of you with me, and can I post it on my social networks? And they say, yes, perfect. So, think about those milestones or those steps that you can do for yourself to also grow visibility and to archive what you're doing. Sometimes we get so busy, and you're so busy volunteering, so busy doing this and organizing everybody else's life, but you cannot sometimes take time to do that for yourself. So that is extremely important when you're ready to go back into the workplace, however whatever time you want to do that. Another thing that I always, tell some of our volunteers, or just volunteers in general, is like, again, to the whole tagline, volunteer with a purpose, but don't volunteer so much or get so stressed out that you have no time to take care of yourself. Because then when you are applying for that right job or for the great opportunity, even if it was with a great organization that already knows you, that already has you established, great workflow, but you didn't have time to prepare, didn't interview well, or you just showed up very unprepared, they're going to be like, Laura appeared to be so great in paper, that she appeared to be so great at our events, but when we interview her, she was just very anxious, or she just didn't respond to everything, or she just didn't lead the conversations to the right answers that we wanted, because you were so distracted taking care of everything else. So take time as well to prepare for that next side hustle, the next job, or even for the volunteer with a purpose opportunity that you're doing it with a mild tone, so that you get something, they get something, but at the end of the day, it's all good contributions for great career success.
Agreed. And actually, something I do, both Tracy and Laura, you mentioned, and we have a few members on staff who've gone through it, is the Coursera courses that are offered. So the Google, both myself and Angel did the project management course, and just really effective. So we also talk about, how you can turn your volunteer experience, make it work for you on a resume, but how there's other ways out there to grow professionally. You don't have to go back to college and spend money doing that, but also that these courses work with you and your schedule. Because as a mom of two, I work full time. I know I wanted to grow professionally, but I was like, there's no way I can take an evening course. So if one or both of you kind of want to talk about that experience and how it's the opportunities out there and how it's set up to work with your schedule, I think that would be really beneficial.
Yeah, absolutely. Sorry, Tracy, and then I'll turn it over to you.
Oh, sure.
What I was going to share is, yes, all of that, Tonya, learn also with a purpose. I am sort of also the very guilty of just signing up for anything that is said free, and that was for me. But that's the past 4 years or 3 years, I polished my learning a little bit better, so that I can be true honest to that organization or that particular group that is giving me their time and their free access to whatever it is certification, or if I'm investing and paying for it, that is intentional with my future career growth. That is my goal plan for 3 years or 5 years. And then one checklist that I do, and I have to have it on my calendar, and I have to keep myself responsible on Saturday morning, Sunday morning, I don't care, Friday mornings, I block 2-3 hours so that I learn it, but it's very intentional for what my goals are. So my enthusiasm is all about workforce development, learning all the great things. And of course, a few project management tools that allow me to deal with my role and my potential, what I'm thinking will be my future roles. So stick to that. Just because it's free doesn't mean you have to stick to that certification. be very mindful of that.
Yeah, to add to that, I'm thinking of another recent military spouse that I met actually yesterday and has moved forward as a candidate in the program. She was an English teacher, and that was her degree. And then with the military lifestyle, she's moving, having a really hard time holding on to that. She ended up kind of doing her own side hustle. I know Laura's been talking about side hustles. She was a baker for a little bit. And then somebody asked her if she wouldn't mind doing some social media and kind of some marketing for a local church that she was nearby. She had no experience in it, but she was kind of intrigued. So she said yes. And she ended up finding that she loved it. She fell in love with it and was really, really good at it. So then she's decided that this is kind of her inspiration, but she had no training in it whatsoever. So that was when she started going to get different certifications, not necessarily through us, but she started, Adobe Photoshop. She started seeing what were the certificates and certifications she needed for that career path. So she didn't go back to school for it. She was learning on, all these different certification programs, built her resume, and started now doing some freelance work, which I did that on the side too. I was writing everybody's resume that I could in order to get that experience. That gave me enough experience to then sit for the exam. So it was all these creative ways to get, and when she presented herself yesterday to me, she is ready. She is ready to take it to the next step further. So to Laura's point too, have that goal that you're wanting to go towards. So maybe your role at United Through Reading right now is really fun. You're really, really liking it, but you don't have any other experience with it. So you're not quite there yet to really be doing that as a paid profession. So how can you get there? What do you need to do? So through either Career Forward or Blue Star Families, we're offering those Google Coursera certificates. You're going to get support all throughout the time as you're a learner. So you're adding that professional growth, on your resume. So that goes in professional development. You're learning some really, really good skills there. You also are growing your network. So you may be, say, sticking with that social media or marketing, you're going to be learning about other organizations you might need to be a part of. Or maybe there's another more hands-on volunteer role you could be taking that you're going to be adding more information and professional experience to your resume. So it can be all this like stepping stones to get you to that paid profession that you want. All stemming through just being inspired by maybe your volunteer role that you're doing right now with United Through Reading. And even Laura touched on it too. A lot of organizations hire their volunteers. So I have a few organizations, people have come to me that've seen some jobs recently, like, oh, can you get me in with, whatever organization? I was like, you know what? They hire their volunteers. They want you, like if you already know the brand, you really are passionate about their mission, it's a no-brainer for them to bring you on. So start volunteering and seeing, if that's going to help get you in there. Yes, I see Angel, the volunteer. Love it.
Yeah. I do want to, not to put them on the spot, but both Candace and Celeste are the two volunteers who have joined this call. So want to open up to see if either one of you have any questions you'd like to ask, or even just comments to add. Again, not to put you on the spot. If you don't, it's okay.
Thank you so much. No, there's a lot of good information here. Although I am serving, I'm also a military spouse, so my husband is serving. But it's just exciting to see these events. I just wanted to, I'm the Yellow Ribbon Coordinator, so I would like to have these resources at the events, and I wanted to see if I can connect with the speakers, that if they have a resource in Hawaii, if they would like to come to the events for our deployed service members and their families.
Are you inviting us to Hawaii?
Yes.
I'll be there at the end of the year, so I'm good.
We get to crush it.
Oh, nice.
Sure.
Yeah.
Celeste reminded me also to just, with volunteers, either who will watch this recording or who are here present, is, when you are ready to move through that next level of career intention and start looking for your next opportunity, part of your career volunteer experience build up, start conducting informational interviews. Maybe set up a time to Tracy and say, hey, Tracy, how did you get your job at Hire Heroes? Who do you, and then when you throw all that pitch and said, what is it working in nonprofit looks like? What are really the challenges? What is really the positive side of things? Not everything is greener on the other side sometimes, guys. I'm just saying out there. So do informational interviews with everyone out there that you think that industry, again, who's your customer? Who do you want to work with on your next phase of your career intention? and conduct as many interviews as you can, and that's also growing your network, in learning about different industries that perhaps you think you haven't thought about it. As Tracy mentioned, that volunteer that she's doing social media, and when she learned it, she's like, oh, I love it, this is great, and it will just open up new discoveries. So think about that when you are having those interviews. Then ask, hey, Tracy, is there anybody in your network that you think I should also talk to? I had that question about a year and a half ago. So gentlemen, I don't normally do informational interviews with veterans. It used to be mostly with spouses, but this gentleman just was really asking and asking and asking a lot on LinkedIn. I said, sure, let me set up 15 minutes of my time and send me a calendar invite. We'll talk. When we were done, he said, hey, Ms. Laura, is there anybody in your network that you think I should talk to that would benefit my transition? I was like, no one has ever asked me that, but yes, let me give you 5 other people and make introductions on LinkedIn for you. And that just completely pivot and reassured him the courtesy to really be more set up, and also start expanding his network with great people within the San Diego area that he would that helped to land that job that he needed by October when he was transitioning. So.
Oh, that's really good. Thank you so much for that information.
Yeah, and Celeste, I will connect you with both Tracy and Laura as well, because I know you've got some upcoming yellow ribbons. So make sure you have that information.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Hawaii
Thank
is
you.
one of my territories, one of my states for my territory. I keep trying to get myself out there, but there is a presence.
We need you.
So hopefully we will be out there in the later in the year. So there'll be some events. So I'm happy to give you that information.
Oh,
And
yes.
to add in even what Laura was saying too, for service members, how important volunteer service is, because you are then growing your network in the civilian side, and you're learning about new opportunities, different job titles, maybe different certifications and certificates you need on the civilian side. So it's a really great way to kind of ease your way out of the military when that time comes for either you or your husband. Just something to think about. That's a great way to get connected in a different community.
Oh, that's awesome. Yes. And I'm just thankful
So Tracy committed. Tracy
guys.
committed to coming to Hawaii, and then she's going to invite me, and I'll carry your suitcase if I have to, Tracy. That's fine.
Sounds good.
Your assistant.
We'll do this live.
I'll volunteer with a purpose with you. How about that?
No, absolutely. I just want to commend you guys for what you guys do and what you guys do for our military spouses. More so, like, Hawaii really needs resources, especially because Hawaii's cost of living is extremely high, and it's not getting any cheaper. So we always try to find as much resources for our families as much as possible. So thank you so much.
It is our pleasure.
Sorry, I do want to speak real quick. I know Tracy mentioned, she reminded me when we were talking about how sometimes certain, nonprofits or other groups hire its own volunteers. Also, when you see the perfect opportunity, even if it's a contractor, if it is 1099 or just temporary, temp to hire type of thing, I know from our organization, we internally, the teams are very notorious for hiring other contractors who are ready, because this is another stepping stone of the volunteer. So if you're a contractor, don't get discouraged by that and say, oh, I really don't want to do 10 contractor. I really don't want to do temporary work, because that's also a way for you to get your foot in the door and prove yourself. So, I mean, I'm a huge advocate for side hustles, because that's how I've gotten my grown-up jobs. So if you can do that and wing it while you're volunteering and working as a contractor, go for it, as long as it makes sense for you.
3 things I want to mention before we wrap. One, Tracy, I know you touched on it, and Laura, we've been discussing it, but a lot of times our service members don't seem to think about their volunteer experience. And when my husband transitioned from active duty into the reserves and was going after a civilian job, he said to me, I don't have any volunteer experience. I've been so focused on my career and doing what I need to do that this whole section of my resume is blank. Unfortunately, I got to remind him of all the times that I voluntold him to do stuff. And I was like, no, you've actually volunteered. But a lot of our service members, it's not in the forefront of their mind because they're so mission focused. But when the time comes for them to transition out, they realize, oh, I've got this blank spot. And employers do care about that. They want to see how you're engaged there. So I always mention that. And then both Tracy and Laura, because I know you help network on our behalf, and I'll let Samantha talk to it. We are actually hiring in the San Diego area. So, Samantha, do you want to share about that real quick?
Sure. We are hiring for a part-time position in San Diego, as Tonya mentioned, in our warehouse. So we're looking for somebody who can help us actually physically get the books that we send out all over the world into the mail and receive those books in our warehouse and do all the other logistical stuff that happens behind the scenes that makes the magic happen.
So see, and because I'm a geek when it comes to job descriptions, I like to overanalyze them and see that right there. You can put it on your resume as you did hybrid work, you did remote work, and you help and supported X amount of dollars in delivering quantity in whatever KPI goals or whatever into the local economy. So there, that's a good tagline right there for your job application.
I might steal that. Thank you.
Because people
Candace,
don't when people are looking for work for the next phase, they don't think they're like, well, I haven't never done work from home or I never done remote work. If you have volunteered for your local school for this for any other place that you are allowed to do it from home or from any other place that you're leisure of in and out, yes, that is hybrid, that is work schedule, that is remote schedule. So capture all of those taglines or how definitions, however you want to put it, and translate all of that into your resume. Yes, you are an experienced remote employee somehow, and so take the credit.
Definitely. Candace did ask, she's there in North Carolina. So Tracy and Laura, if you happen to get any leads job related, go ahead and pass them her way. I do want to also, because we're coming up on time, Laura and Blue Star Family, I know you were excited to share. We have a giveaway. So it's between Celeste and Candace. So guess what? Your chances of winning are really high. But we do have the wheel of names. I can share that screen and spin it. So Laura, if you want to kind of identify what you want to, the first prize is, we can do that. And I will share my screen, which I did put our logo in. So, I mean, I thought that was pretty cool. But it is there.
Cool.
Yeah. And so look, a 50-50 shot of winning.
There we go. Okay, so we'll leave the little tiny gift out, or yes, we'll do the two e-cards so that way they get it today. How about that? So we're gonna do a $10 gift card to Starbucks, and so I'll deliver that to you in the next hour. So spin the wheel, and then the second name that is stayed on the wheel that is not drawn, then we'll get a $25 DoorDash gift card. How about that?
All right, so it looks like Celeste gets our Starbucks, and it looks like Candace gets the lunch gift card.
Perfect.
And I will provide their email addresses to you once we wrap this call.
Fabulous, thank you.
Awesome. Well, everyone, I greatly appreciate your time. Thank you for your contributions. If you have additional questions, please reach out to us. We can easily get you in touch with both Tracy and Laura. As Melanie mentioned in the chat earlier, we are recording this session. We will be sharing it out so that others have access to it and can view and see all the amazing resources that are available to them. But unless anyone else has anything else to add, I am good to end the call. Say have a great evening or afternoon, depending on where you're located. And we appreciate everything you do.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for attending, everybody.